Welcome to Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. If you love to gamble, this is definitely the place to be. And if you love poker, you're about to be part of the most exciting poker tournament on the planet.
Yeah! I feel good.
Here at the World Series, anyone and everyone has a shot at winning the top prize of $2.5 million.
We play poker now.
Good luck, everyone.
So sit back and relax. It's the 2003 World Series of Poker. For 33 years, the champion of the World Series of Poker has been crowned right here at Binion's Horseshoe in the heart of downtown Las Vegas. People from around the world have arrived with two things: their $10,000 entry fee and a dream of winning the most prestigious event in poker. And of course, the $2.5 million first prize doesn't hurt either. Hello everybody, I'm Lon McCarron along with sports columnist and tournament poker player Norman Chad. Of our original field of 839 players, we are down to just a fraction of that. Two of the more interesting players remaining right now, Scotty Nguyen and the only woman in the field, Annie Duke.
Yes, Scotty Nguyen was the 1998 champion, and let me tell you why I love to watch him play. He mixes it up, he takes chances. Scotty loves to talk a lot at the table, he loves to drink a lot at the table, and he's a bit of a showman. Annie Duke is a great story. Her brother Howard Lederer, one of the best tournament pros in the world, he taught her how to play poker. Now she's one of the best players in the world. In 2000, she finished 10th at the World Series, and she was 8 months pregnant. I couldn't do that.
I'd be worried if you could, Norm, to tell you the truth. Of all the players who go out today, each will finish in the money. Some earn $15,000, but one of the players still in the field will earn $2.5 million. There's a good look at our featured table, a very powerful table here featuring Scotty Nguyen, the 1998 champion here at the World Series of Poker. And he's going to start off with a King 10. At the far end with the hat, Bruno Fitoussi. Got a good stack coming into this table.
He folds. Bruno likes to sit with his chair turned backwards.
And there's Jonathan Kaplan in the white hat. Couple of jacks. And he's going to start off with a bet of $12,000. Keep an eye on your screen. We'll keep track of who has the upper hand. The number shown next to the player's name is the percentage that they will have the best cards when the hand is done. And certainly what they do with those cards is up to them. Scotty Nguyen has raised Jonathan Kaplan, $18,000. And so the action back to Jonathan Kaplan right there.
A lot of poker players, Lon, only shave maybe once a week. But right now, Jonathan Kaplan trying to decide what he's going to do with the action that Scotty's put in front of him. And he's going to call.
Going to call it. So we will see a flop as we open our coverage. First three cards. Community cards, and they come out with 10, 5, and 4.
And that gives Scotty Nguyen a pair of 10s, a top pair on board, but still behind Kaplan's jacks.
I'm going on.
Scotty Nguyen's going to go all in.
Yeah, actually what Scotty's doing there, he's actually forcing Jonathan Kaplan to decide whether he wants to go all in, because Jonathan has fewer chips. If Jonathan were to lose his hand going all in, he would be eliminated.
I call.
So Jonathan Kaplan feels he has the best hand. He's going to push all his chips in and risk his tournament right here.
And indeed, he does have the best hand right now. He's a 3-to-1 favorite with those jacks over Scotty Nguyen's pair of 10s.
And that news has just reached Scotty Nguyen. A grim look on this former champion's face. Ready now for the turn card. It is a 2 of hearts.
No help for Scotty Nguyen, and now Kaplan further ahead in the hand.
Final card, and it is a king of clubs. Scotty Nguyen has taken down Jonathan Kaplan.
That's just unfair, Lon, because Scotty Nguyen plays better than most everyone else, but he also runs lucky.
And he got lucky there, so Kaplan goes down as we begin our coverage of this no-limit Texas Hold'em tournament from Binion's. Here's how you play no-limit Texas Hold'em. Everyone is dealt 2 cards face down. Players then bet, and for the first time must decide whether they're in or they're out. Next comes the flop. 3 community cards placed face up in the middle of the table that everyone can use. Players bet again. The dealer then reveals the turn, another community card, also called 4th Street. After another round of betting, the final community card is dealt. This is called the River, or 5th Street. One last time, players bet. Then reveal their cards. The best 5-card hand wins. But this is no limit hold'em. And at any time, a player can go all in and bet everything he has. So at the World Series, every hand could be the hand that makes you or breaks you. As we get back to our featured table, you will see some new faces here and there. As the field shrinks and chairs open up, players will move from other tables and join a particular table. And there's Scotty Nguyen with an 8-3, nothing to crow about. And Humberto Brenes checking his hole cards. He has ace-10, one of the more colorful players in the game.
Literally and figuratively.
So the cards have been dealt. The table now deciding how good exactly they have it. So far, nobody in. And you'll see in the blue shirt on the left of your screen, Jeff Schulman, editor of Card Player Magazine, a very good player on the circuit, but it looks like he does not want to join the action.
21.
Scotty says 21, even though he bet 12,000.
Great. Did you hear I say 21?
Humberto says he wants to raise. Has not thrown the chips in just yet. As we look at that graphic, you see with the cards that they have, Brenes with an overwhelming advantage.
Now he's raised $40,000. Scotty Nguyen had bet with an 8-3 offsuit. Now when you bet with absolutely nothing, when someone comes back over the top of you, you usually get rid of it. You muck the hand. I suspect he's going to get rid of this hand. He even eats chewing gum, interestingly, doesn't he?
He does. He does. I like that.
What a character.
South of the border feel.
Scotty taking his time. There's a 3-8 offsuit.
This is going to be the greatest move I ever made.
He's saying it's going to be the greatest move he's ever made. I'm amazed at what he's doing. He's betting $100,000 on cards the Salvation Army would reject. Humberto Brenes has an ace-10. He's more than a 2-to-1 favorite.
Keep Michelob coming, baby.
Well, he said he likes to drink at the table. He's living up to that.
I tell you, I think you have to be drinking a shot and a beer to make that bet, but he's just got a beer.
Maybe if he had a 3-5 or something, he'd be taking the shot. But the 3-8, and now he's going to wait out Humberto Brenes.
Okay, he's got Humberto to take off the Red Sox cap and the sunglasses.
He's got to look inside Scotty Nguyen to find out if he's bluffing. It's easy for us. We know the hole cards. But Humberto's got the tough task.
You can't call. Too much for you. 100,000, that's too much for you.
Okay, I pass this time.
No. No!
Humberto's going to pass.
But you got. I bet 100,000 with this hand, baby.
Rubbing it in.
No. Turn over.
Hall of Fame bluff.
I told you 21. I thought I played blackjack. God damn.
Here's a man who knows how to play Vegas. Scotty Nguyen, the former champion, flamboyant and bold, and a winner.
That's no limit, baby. They just love Scotty Nguyen, man. Because my style, I can get along with everybody. Broke, rich, pretty, ugly, fat, and thin. Be happy. Even if I beat you a hand or beat them a hand, they happy with that. Because they can go home and tell their grandkid or their son, like, I got beat by Scotty Nguyen, you know? The greatest poker player ever lived, you know what I mean?
Anybody can learn to play the right cards, but the key to poker is learning to deal with a wide variety of personalities around the table, and Scotty Nguyen certainly one of the best at getting inside your head. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada. A very critical day for all the players here at Binion's Horseshoe Casino as we get away from our featured table and go to some of the outer poker tables. And one of the heavy hitters in the room, Phil Ivey, right there, going heads up against Sam Farha. All the cards are already on the table. You see by the check mark next to Farha's name, he has the winning hand. We just have to see how Phil Ivey's going to play it.
Yeah, he's got a pair of 4 4s, and he has just raised Phil Ivey $90,000. And sometimes when a man raises you that much, it behooves you to take off your sunglasses. And Phil wants to figure out, can he call this? He just has 9s and 4s.
Ivey, second place at Jack Binion's World Poker Open earlier this year. A big decision right now.
I call.
He's going to call it.
And he is going to see the 4 4s over there. And
wow.
a pain just shot right through Phil Ivey's entire body.
He started the day with 163,000, and he has just lost about 110,000 to Sam Farha. What a boost to that guy right there. Phil Ivey has a lot of ground to make up. Another player who's got a lot of ground to make up right there is Annie Duke, the only woman left in the field of about 55 players. Annie has been right on the edge most days. The best thing she can say is that she still is playing. But day to day, Annie has a lot more on her plate than most players.
I'm a professional poker player. I'm also a full-time mom. I don't get a lot of sleep. Come on, Leo.
She'll play till dawn, and she'll sleep till noon, and then I'll hand the kids off. She takes the kids pretty much at noon.
Everybody put your shoes on. We're going to go out and eat. I don't know how I do it. I mean, I basically have 2 jobs. Years from now, I'm going to look back on this, and I'm going to say, man, I was really tired. I don't have the same kind of freedom of time that a lot of the players have. What's up, honey? I've missed a lot of big events because my kids were having activities that I needed to do. Just a second. It's definitely a trade-off that I'm more than happy to make. He will interview you later because I know what's more important than life anyway, so.
My name's Ma Duke. My mom, she is a great poker player. She's really good at poker, and I just really like how well she plays.
Poker is a really fun game, but I actually really vehemently would like my children never to do this because I think there's a lot of pitfalls that go along with being in a casino all the time. And that's not to say that I don't love what I do. I really do. But I don't get too vested in what happens in poker because in the end, it's not nearly as important as the other things going on in my life.
See you later. Have fun.
Annie trying to make something happen right now. She started the day about 77,000 chips. Here she does take in another pot. Not a real big one, but she needs to make something happen, and something happen quick, Norm.
Yeah, no woman has ever made it to the final table. Annie has come closest.
That's right. In 2000, she did finish in 10th position, just 1 hand away from getting to that final table. Over at our featured table, we have her brother sitting there. You just catch a glimpse of him over on the right edge. That is Howard Lederer, who has taken a seat at our main table.
And at the main table, Lon, it is just a murderer's row of great players in seats 1, 2, and 3. Howard Lederer, Scotty Nguyen, and Phil Ivey, all 3 a threat to win any tournament they ever enter.
And this is one of those tournaments that anyone can win. Chuck Hong right now with a couple of aces, and that's going to help him if he's going to win this tournament.
Chuck doesn't play a whole lot of hands. Obviously, he's going to play the aces.
And a $13,000 bet from Chuck Hong. Min Nguyen not going to play. And now over to Howard Lederer.
Not much for Howard. 8-9 offsuit. But he's picking up chips. When they start picking up chips, they're thinking of doing something. Howard knows that Chuck Hong is a tight player, and he often will try to bluff this type of player.
Howard is going to raise him. The raise is $35,000 back to Chuck Hong.
Indeed, Howard, this time it is an attempt to just bluff and win the pot right here because he has nothing. And you can usually bluff tight players out. Of course, with a pair of aces, Chuck Hong's not going anywhere.
So now what does this tell you, as Chuck calls it, about the hand he has?
Well, Howard was not happy that he called. You know, he just figured he'd be running home at that point, and the fact that he called right there and Howard looking for a chip count on Chuck right now, he's not happy at all, and he knows he's behind in the hand. It's that simple.
You do see there the percentage Chuck Hong, an overwhelming favorite, and the flop comes down 10-4 Jack. They both paid to see that flop.
And it actually helps Howard. He now has picked up an open-ended straight draw, but of course, otherwise, Chuck's still a 2-to-1 favorite in the hand because he has the aces, and Howard right now has 9 high.
How about you? 50.
Chuck Hong is going to bet $50,000. He's going to back up those aces in a big way.
The way Howard Lederer plays, I got to believe if Chuck even motioned to get near a chip, that Howard would be taking a bathroom break at this point and saying, see you later. But he's scratching his head, and I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking.
No, it's not going to do it. Not going to do it.
All right.
So Chuck Hong played it just the way Chuck Hong normally plays it. He's got the cards. He makes the bet. He took a little bit out of Howard that Howard did not want to give up. So Lederer tested the waters, but correctly pulled away. Chuck Hong gets a boost. Welcome back to Binion's Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. It is moving day here at the World Series of Poker. Two men who are trying to make big moves, some of the bigger names. Phil Hellmuth, he has a $35,000 bet on the table with his ace-king. Sam Farha with his queen-jack called that bet, and now we are ready for the flop in this heads-up showdown. And here it comes. It comes down king, 9, and 3.
And that flop gives Sam Farha both a flush draw and a straight draw.
2 of diamonds on the turn.
And that gives Sammy now the flush. They had checked off the flop, and Sammy now is in command of the hand.
And you see the check mark next to Sam's name means he does indeed have the best hand.
And he correctly bets 50,000. Phil calls. Phil cannot win the hand now.
The river, inconsequential. They don't know it, though. It's a 2 of hearts.
That gives Phil Hellmuth kings and 2s, but of course Sammy with the flush bets 80,000 and gets a look from Phil.
But Phil hesitates very little to call it.
Oh! Called $35,000 queen jack.
Well, there's the Phil pout. It's another case when Phil Hellmuth can't believe that an inferior player playing inferior cards, making a bad call against him, wins the hand. You know, Phil, that's called gambling.
Sometimes you lose when you gamble. This man has won more often than not today. That's our cop from San Francisco, Brian Watkins, holding a couple of 10s. Taking on Mark Grigorich, who has ace-king in his hole cards. Here comes the flop. It is king 4-3.
Giving Grigorich a pair of kings, better than Watkins' 10s.
Watkins, some of the dead money that came into the tournament, and Grigorich
goes all in.
Wow. Not a bad move, I guess, this late in the tournament for the guy, with a huge advantage here in this hand.
Watkins wants to know how much Grigorich has. It's just under 30,000. If Grigorich loses, he's out of this.
29.6.
They do say 29.6.
If I knew this guy were a cop, I wouldn't be a criminal.
I think he called.
Yes, he has called.
Everybody in the room knows he called.
So it's the 10s against the kings, but a king comes on the turn, and now Grigorich way ahead in the hand with 3 kings. Only a 10 would save the cop.
And there it is.
Yes! Still the same. I don't believe it. Oh, yes! Baby!
Brian Watkins and, more importantly, Mark Grigorich cannot believe that 10 came down.
They should be bringing over a stretcher to take Mark Grigorich out of here.
Well, this guy might need a stretcher to carry out all the chips. That is Dutch Boyd, approaching 300,000 in chips. He knows how to make an impact at the table with more than just card play.
Chip Tricks 101. When you're playing poker, everything that you do at the table is for a reason. Chip tricks, they show that you've been playing poker for a while. So, you do a lot of them. Here's the first one people learn is the drop down. The chip roll. Okay. The moving down. Knuckle to knuckle, all right? In tournaments, you need respect. You need people to lay down hands because you need those pots. And if you know more tricks than the other guy, he thinks, huh, I gotta watch out for him.
Well, a lot of players have to watch out for Dutch Boyd right now, a very powerful man at the tables, taking on Minneapolis Jim Meehan, who has ace-queen in his hand, and he has decided to go all in against Dutch Boyd's jacks. And here comes the flop. 6, 4, 8, no help. The turn is a 3. The final card is a 10, and that's not going to do it. Jim Meehan is eliminated, and Dutch Boyd, this young wonderkin, is our new chip leader here at Binion's with about 400,000. Dutch Boyd, a man who uses some chip tricks to boost his confidence at the table. Others use trinkets of one kind or another. Chris Gregorian's pyramid seems to be doing the tricks for him so far. Two members now of our featured table, as we've mentioned, Dead Money, are sitting right here. Tomer Benvenizzi, who is already in this hand, bet $12,000. He was considered dead money coming into the tournament. Chris Moneymaker, who took out the legendary Johnny Chan, was considered dead money. Do you still consider them so, Norm?
Well, I don't know if they're still dead money because once you get in the money and the top 63 players in this tournament get paid money, they have made it to the top 63, so I don't know if they're dead money anymore. They're dead money with some money in their wallet, because they've made money, and now Tomer is going to bet the flop. He still is ahead with a pair of 3s, and Chris Moneymaker has a straight draw. Otherwise, he has nothing.
It's $15,000 to Moneymaker, and he does call.
So a pair of 3s still ahead in the hand. It's pretty much a coin flip, and there Chris Moneymaker will take the lead on the turn. A pair of kings now with his king-queen in the hole. But the action first to Tomer, and he's going to continue to fire away.
He is indeed. And Chris Moneymaker fires right back.
30,000 called this time.
Here comes the river. It's another king for Chris Moneymaker.
Come to mama, Chris Moneymaker says. He now has 3 kings, and Tomer still just has the pair of 3s, and now, of course, a pair of kings on board. But he bet before the flop. He bet after the flop. He bet after the turn, and Chris Moneymaker wouldn't go away. Now he's finally going to check.
So now to Chris Moneymaker, how hard does he want to push? He wants to push 50,000 hard.
Which is about right.
Now it's up to Tomer. He's teeing up the cards, and he kicks them in.
The white flag comes out.
Another good hand for Chris Moneymaker, and this Tennessee accountant has no problem counting his money. Back in Las Vegas, Lon McCarron along with Norman Chad in the 2003 World Series of Poker. Checking in once again with the last remaining female in the room, Annie Duke, hanging on. Right now she is going heads up on this table against the very colorful stack of chips and the very colorful repertoire, sartorially, Humberto Brenes.
He does have the big stack at this table. Okay, if Humberto's your uncle, you might want to check your family tree. What a character he is.
He would be fun to have as an uncle.
All right. Great.
Well, right now, Annie Duke is going to raise Humberto Brenes.
Would that be called 4 eyes or 6 eyes?
Right now, Humberto might want some x-ray vision, and there you go. He throws in the hand. Annie Duke does take a small stack away from Humberto Brenes, and right there you see an unusual maneuver. Annie Duke shows her cards to Humberto and then flashes a smile at him. She seems to have struck up a rapport with Brenes at this point of the table.
Normally I would never show a hand, but I want to keep it very friendly with him because he's the big stack at the table, and keeping him off my back is very important.
A wise move indeed, not only if you're Annie Duke, but if you're anybody going against Humberto Brenes and that stack that he has. Back to our featured table. Annie's brother, Howard Lederer, has been stronger. Looking for more chips, definitely, to move into the next day. And there's a first look at Men the Master. Men win. A winner of over 40 tournaments and a very feared player. With a 10-7, is he still feared?
Oh, he's always feared. He's got great instincts. He's colorful. He loves to talk a lot. And here he loves to bet 20,000 on that 10-7 suited.
Men the Master and Howard Lederer, the only players in on this hand. And with Ace-King, Lederer has some thinking to do.
You know, before Men the Master became Men the Master, he was called Money Machine Lon when he first started playing because he'd lose all his cash and pull out his credit card to go to the ATM.
Well, poker is the only style of gambling that he does partake in, though he says it's not really gambling to him.
When you're that good, it's not gambling. He really knows all the angles.
All you have to do is push it in, man.
You told me to push it in, I'll push it in.
Be careful what you wish for.
All right, so we have an all-in Howard Lederer. And now the decision back to Men the Master.
And actually that forces Men to decide whether he wants to go all in. He has fewer chips, and so he'd be eliminated if he called this and lost. And 10-7 suited doesn't look nearly as good when someone like Howard Lederer pushes in all his chips behind you.
All is over here. Ace-King, Phil Ivey has the most chips. 9.
And the 10-7, as you said, Norm, not strong enough for Men to stay in this hand. And so Howard Lederer gets another small pot. And Men glares.
Well, if looks could kill, we'd have a homicide on our hands right now.
Some of the luck that Howard Lederer feeling right now, hoping to be transferred over to his sister. I'm sure he feels, as Annie Duke been scratching and clawing, try to stay in this tournament. Things not going very well for her at this moment as she finds herself at the table with that man, Dutch Boyd, who was among the chip leaders. We saw Annie having to be very careful with Humberto Brenes, who had a huge stack early on. And Annie playing along with Jason Lester there just to the left. And he's going to make a $12,000 bet. He has King-King.
And the action now is to Annie Duke.
All in.
And Annie Duke goes all in with her pair of jacks. She'll go all in for $63,500. There were only 30 women among the 839 entrants here, and Annie Duke's the last one left.
And she pushes in $63,500. All in, and now Dutch Boyd considers whether or not he is going to match that.
Happy if you don't call, I'm happy, frankly. If I win the pot, that's okay. If I double up, that's fine.
A bit ambivalent about what Dutch Boyd does. And Dutch throws it in.
Probably some crazy psychology here going on.
No, I mean, no psychology. I'm telling you the truth.
I'm going to call.
Jason Lester is going to call with his kings.
Without question.
All in and call.
Andy's going to see the sad sight that she is behind Lester, about a 4-1 favorite right now to send Annie Duke home.
The flop comes down 7-10-10. No help to Annie Duke.
Annie Duke needs a jack or her World Series is over.
On with the jacks. Flops 10-10-7, turn card 6.
And the river card comes up, Queen of Hearts, and that's going to do it. Jason Lester wins, and Annie Duke is going home. She will leave in 47th position. She heads back to her other job now as mom to her 4 kids. She gets some words of consolation from Howard Lederer, her brother, but she's got to feel she played that the only way she could.
I did as much as I could with what I was dealt, and hey, I'm happy to get my money in with jacks. It was the best hand I've seen in 6 hours. So, you know, if he has kings, he has kings. What am I going to do?
Back at Benion's Horseshoe Casino, Lon McCarron along with Norman Chad at our featured table as the tension beginning to get thicker and thicker here. Howard Lederer has seen his sister go out. He'll have to hold up the family tradition now.
Howard always looks like he's in the waiting room of his doctor's office, you know, for his annual checkup.
It's got to be calm. Got to be calm. Scotty Nguyen and Jeff Schulman also at this table. Some very strong players and a lot of chips at this featured table as well. Phil Ivey has a lot fewer chips now than he did earlier on. We saw him lose about 110, 115,000 on one hand to Sammy Farha. And so he's looking to rebuild that stack. One of the favorites here at the tournament. Scotty Nguyen, another favorite, throws in his cards, not going to play.
Phil Ivey looks down at pocket sixes and reaches to play. 4,000, he will call the bet.
Rest of the table kicks in, and it's up to Chuck Hong, who also throws his cards away, and it's to Jeff Schulman with a 6 and a 10.
6-10 offsuit. They're rags, but he's in the small blind, so it's just another 2,000 for him to play, and he decides he's going to play him.
So we will see a flop. Phil Ivey, a lot riding on every hand right now. And the flop comes 4, 6, and 8.
And that's a sight for sore eyes for Phil Ivey, because that gives him a set of sixes, puts him in a commanding position in this hand, and obviously he's going to want to bet.
And he does indeed. The bet is 12,000 now to Jeff Schulman,
who only has a pair of sixes to play after this flop.
But he wastes no time to raise.
He's decided to raise. I guess he's putting Phil Ivey on nothing and decides he's going to come over the top and drive him out, but he's going to find out Phil Ivey's going nowhere.
I'm all in.
Phil Ivey says he's all in.
How much?
Well, Phil being very aggressive here. He's not having a good day. He's down to $50,000, $60,000 in chips, and he should go all in with this. He'd love to double up.
3 more. Well, I find myself in a little predicament here.
I don't think it's that much of a predicament. I don't think Phil's going to get a call out of Jeff Schulman.
He's got his hand on a stack of chips and he wants to play. Interesting play from Jeff Schulman.
Talked himself into it quite quickly, and he's going to see how far behind he is.
Runner, diamonds.
And he wants a couple of diamonds to get the flush.
No diamond on the turn, but if he gets another 10 on the river, Jeff Schulman can get a miracle win against Phil Ivey. He needs a 10.
Here's the river. It's a 4 of spades, and Phil Ivey doubles up at the expense of Jeff Schulman.
Wow. And, you know, the rest of the table can't like that. You don't want to give Phil Ivey more chips. It's like giving Charles Manson the keys to your house. Once you get him started, it is going to be tough to get him stopped.
So Phil Ivey, who was below 70,000, now up about 130, looking healthy. Ivey trying to build momentum now here at this featured table. And you look at his hole cards, momentum comes in a couple of jacks.
Yeah, if you're trying to get yourself on a rush, pocket jacks is a good way to get started.
So he's going to lay out a bet of 12,000. And when you have momentum like Ivey does, you want to take advantage of that because the rest of the table feels that as well.
Yeah, Lon, momentum helps, but great cards help even more. And right now the jacks are great cards. But Kevin Song, a seasoned player, seasoned tournament pro, has ace-king, and he tells us he's going to raise Phil Ivey.
He's already matched the 12,000, now deciding on the raise.
And he raises 12,000 over Phil Ivey. The action now to Chuck Hong, who folds.
Next to play Jeff Schulman and Phil Ivey giving him the glare. You want to play with me, you need some good cards. Schulman out, Lederer out, Scotty Nguyen out, back to Phil. Does he want to call?
Oh, he's going to call. He says, I'm going to more than call. And again, very aggressive. When he thinks he has the best hand, he will put all his chips in. And right now, he's a slight favorite in the hand.
I'll call.
And actually, it's Kevin Song who's going all in with fewer chips. And Kevin Song will be eliminated if he does not come up with a better hand than the jacks. He has the ace-king. He's going to be looking for an ace-king on this flop.
Almost apologetically, Ivey looks over and throws the jacks down, and Kevin Song gets a glimpse of it. That's all I could do at this point, maybe,
no help
Phil?
yet
No.
for Mr. Song, who still needs an ace or a king to take the lead over Phil Ivey.
The turn card is a 5 of hearts.
Now, a 2 would give him a straight on the river, so an ace, a king, or a 2, and Kevin Song is still alive. Otherwise, he's gone.
And he is gone indeed. A 7 of spades. Phil Ivey's jacks hold up. He eliminates Kevin Song, but more importantly, Phil Ivey has built his stack up to 200,000.
Yeah, and if I were a betting man, well, I am a betting man, I'd wager your mortgage lawn that Phil Ivey's going all the way.
Well, this dangerous player just got stronger. More to come from Vegas in a moment. Welcome back to Las Vegas at our featured table, the 2003 World Series of Poker. One of the more feared gentlemen anywhere, Men the Master.
Everybody had the chance to win the big one. I'm a professional. I lose a little bit. Lucky me, only 23.50. I win big. I feel good. But don't matter what happened. I'm laughing. I get knocked out, they won't chance me. I'm still Man the Master. Yes.
The master right now at our featured table, and that is David Gray, one of the men facing Men Nguyen. And right now it is David Gray with a couple of aces, and that could master anybody.
20,000 is his bet.
As we move around the table, no takers till we get to Men Nguyen in the decision-making process, and an ace-king.
Great.
Raised.
No hesitation on Men Nguyen's part.
50 more.
50,000.
50,000 is the raise.
Well, ace-king is literally your third or fourth best starting hand, but he doesn't know he's up against ace-ace, which is your best starting hand.
Re-raise.
And what you would expect from David Gray, a re-raise.
How much he raised?
And Men the Master now has to be concerned on a couple of fronts. The re-raise was 70,000, and that's pretty much all he has left. Now, when you are going to go all in towards the end, you want to go on with the best hand, and he has ace-king, which is one of the best hands you could have. But he's got to be concerned. If David Gray has a pocket pair, he's a slight underdog to David Gray. If he puts David Gray somehow on ace-ace or king-king, then he's a huge underdog. But you really like to double up at this point. I got to believe he's going to want to play the ace-king because this is a great opportunity to make a lot of chips in one hand with the ace-king. He doesn't know David Gray is holding ace-ace.
All right.
It's a huge moment for Men Nguyen. And nope, he's not going to play.
Boy, that's a tough laydown. I'm surprised. Men the Master deciding he did not want to risk all his chips at that moment.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that he figured David Gray had a pair. As we move away from our featured table, we look at the outer table. Looks like there's a presidential press conference over there. Something big must be happening. And we do have Chris Moneymaker and the hat on the left taking on Humberto Brenes. The flop is down 9-king-2. Brenes has ace-ace against Moneymaker's 8-8. Now we know what aces can do.
Yeah, well, these two have been trading punches all day long. And the pair of eights, Mr. Moneymaker has been walking between raindrops all day. But right now he's up against aces. That's a storm.
Moneymaker checked after the flop, and Humberto Brenes wants to get some action going, and he puts down a $30,000 bet.
Humberto, a big favorite in the hand right now.
How much does he have?
Chris thinking about it. Wants a chip count from Brenes's stack.
And he's told he has about 120,000. He's got a pair of eights, and he doesn't know Humberto has the pair of aces.
Chris Moneymaker took down Johnny Chan in an earlier session, and he is going to raise Humberto Brenes 120,000. And Humberto wants to dance.
All in trade now. Look working everything with me.
Yeah, they meet in the middle of the ring again, and this time Humberto Brenes with the big advantage. Aces against eights.
He said he called.
Only an 8 is going to save Chris Moneymaker.
Well, no, what I'm saying, he might have chips left.
Doesn't matter. Let's turn him up, guys.
He said he called. He said he called. I know. I'm in big trouble.
Oh, Chris says he's in big trouble. He knows it. Here comes a turn, and it's an 8 of clubs. The last card is no help to Brenes, and he has been eliminated.
Yeah, Johnny Chan was knocked out by Chris Moneymaker, and now another stunning knockout for Moneymaker against Humberto Brenes.
An amazing turn of events. Chris Moneymaker going against 2 aces, got the miracle 8 on the turn, and eliminates a very powerful player. How far can this young kid from Knoxville go? Chris Moneymaker continues to live up to his name, and for Humberto Brenes from Costa Rica, it's going to be a long flight home. We are nearing the end of our session here at Binion's, and for many players, it's time for all or nothing moves.
I'm all in.
I bet everything I got.
Checking in on one of our outer tables, we do have a showdown between Chuck Hong and Scotty Nguyen. The flop has already come down 3 king 2. Chuck Hong is holding 2 kings, and he has gone all in against Scotty Nguyen and his ace king.
So with the flop, Chuck Hong has 3 kings. Scotty Nguyen has a pair of kings. And Chuck Hong is a very tight player. He doesn't play a whole lot of hands. So Scotty Nguyen has a dilemma right now. He knows he has the top pair that he's holding. But if Chuck Hong's gone in that big, he's got to be worried that he might be beat. And he's now doing his own countdown of his chips to see how much he'd have left if he calls the all-in.
Well, he's got to figure out what it might be worth. You always like to take out another player, but right now, at what price?
And I guarantee you Scotty Nguyen doesn't want to lay this hand down. He already put $69,000 into this pot before the flop. He's holding top pair with the kings. He's just worried he might be beat. You know, he's all but dead. He doesn't know it.
No, he's not going to play it. Not worth it to him.
And Scotty Nguyen sees a lot of chips go down. He doesn't like to see that happen. A lot of chips going to another guy.
And Chuck Hong all in and all survival mode right now. And we move over to our featured table, and I'm sure that mentality about survival is spreading very quickly throughout the room. Taking a look at Men the Master right now. Let's look at the pocket cards, 8 and 6. And Men is going to go all in. We just saw Chuck Hong go all in, and now the Master will as well.
Once again, Men the Master putting his head on the chopping block.
And against Howard Lederer, who has king 3.
And Howard puts a chip on the cards.
That usually means something, yeah.
Yep. And these two, they're an odd couple. They're not Felix and Oscar odd, but they're quite an odd pairing, these two.
Oh yeah, you got Howard the professor.
And Men the Master is more like the kid in the back of the classroom throwing spitballs up front.
Well, now the play and the pressure on Howard Lederer. His decision now, does he want to joust with Men the Master, or does he feel like he can let him off the hook at this point of the day?
Yeah, he can send Men the Master home. He probably wishes he had better cards than King 3 suited.
Oh, and he lets him off the hook and folds.
Howard hates when he misreads, so he'll see those cards in his sleep tonight.
Thank you, Howard. I know Howard loved me. He said, man, I don't want to be Men the Master. That's right. Thank you, thank you. I thought I had a good hand.
See, when you're in the back of the classroom, you can talk more trash also.
Well, Men the Master gleeful at surviving his all-in attempt. This session will come to an end with one more eliminated player, and right now, this man might be just that. Chuck Hong is all in. He's got 3 jacks on the turn against Dan Harrington, the 95 world champ, who has a full house, 10s over jacks.
And Harrington has to decide whether to call the all-in.
Calls. I call.
Good.
And that's called.
And he does. And Chuck Hong is in dire straits. He only plays really good hands, and he has 3 jacks, but he's behind the 10s full house. He's going to need a jack, a queen, or a 7 to avoid being eliminated today.
And here comes the river card. Do or die for Chuck Hong. It is a 6 of clubs, and it is die. Chuck Hong survived a number of all-ins, but one too many. He lost the bet to Dan Harrington. A very respected player gets his due here at Binion's. A very tough hand for Chuck Hong to go out on, but not much more he could do right there. A whole lot of chips traded places today in a most exciting session of the World Series of Poker.
All you can eat, baby.
That's no limit. I got a chip in the chair. Tomorrow, I'm going to be aggressive as that.
There were a lot of surprises today as Sammy Farha proved to be a giant killer, and young gun Phil Ivey put himself back in the hunt. Howard Lederer survived the day, but his sister Annie Duke was sent home. Dead Money dominated with Brian Watkins and Dutch Boyd, but former champion Scotty Nguyen is still vying for a chance at the championship bracelet and $2.5 million. Rookie Chris Moneymaker is still alive, but so too is veteran Phil Hellmuth. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran.
Hey, what happened here?
See you next time at the World Series of Poker.
Bye-bye.